Hello and welcome to my Pokemon Journeys, episode 102, Trial Mission, a freezing raid battle review. So this is what I've been waiting for. I love Project News so much, so finding out that one was coming up left me pretty excited. This time it's interesting to see Go not being super amped. This is a raid battle, so they have to battle Articuno. Ash is all excited, but Go isn't. He's worried about his ability to cooperate with others. It's real neat to see how Ash's words amp him up, reminding him that he's done raid battles before and Ash will be there to help Go anyway. It just shows off their friendship so well. And a real kicker here is that we're off to the Seafoam Islands for this fight. I don't think we've ever seen this location, so this is Journeys taking advantage of its premise and letting us see what we haven't before. Something we can kind of immediately notice in this episode is that Go seems to take the lead. A lot. Before we even get to a raid, Go is getting in the way of Ash when they're trying to deal with a Golbat. Of course Go wanted to catch it, but Pikachu was trying to Thunderbolt it. He does however offer a lost challenger a chance to join him as they're stuck in the maze. And he has a Typhlosion, which I don't think we've seen since Advanced, so that's cool I guess. He won't join since his Pokemon are weakened, so Ash and Go head off. And this happens a few more times and you can really see the numbers dwindle for a raid. I'm a big fan of Grookey and Inteleon teaming up to douse their way to the exit of the maze. Grookey hits Zone, which gives off a noise, and Inteleon is able to follow the vibrations to find the exit. I think it's a very cool usage of Go's Pokemon's latent abilities. So Ash and Go run into a hole made by a Graveler, which Go caught, and descend it using a string shot from Caterpie. As they get to the bottom, they see Tokiu battling a Cloyster. I think this is awesome. Tokiu hasn't appeared since episode 32? But Ash just immediately questions, "Oh, someone you know?" as Go runs off to talk with Tokiu, both talking about their evolved starters and catching Cloyster. But this moment reminds me of when Ash meets his previous friends and companions. He knows such a wide array of people that Go gets to meet, so having a moment where Ash gets to meet someone that Go knew before is awesome. Their meeting is pretty great. They both immediately find out how each other knows Go, and they're pretty much immediately getting on. We get the reveal that Tokiu has entered Project Mewtwo since he's chasing Celebi. That's something they find curious. So his whole justification is wanting to track down every Psychic type since Celebi is part Psychic. I think that's a really weird justification for it, but if they made him chase down Grass and Psychic types, I think that would help a lot since it would serve as a more direct reference to the Celebi quest in Pokemon Go, where you have to catch both Grass and Psychic types to eventually encounter Celebi. Caterpie helps the group down a waterfall to a big icy cavern, and as they reach the bottom, Gary appears and says he didn't expect to see them. So this is really cool, because now Ash and Go both have a childhood friend along. And it's just great to see Gary as always. He's one of Go's rivals, and he definitely plays that role here, riding Go up. It's even funnier when Gary approaches Tokiu and just shakes his hand and introduces himself nicely, and Tokiu is all ready to work nice with him. Gary has determined Articuno's location and invites the others to come with him. Go definitely isn't feeling like a team player, which Gary uses as a chance to ask if Go is scared, but in a mocking way. And when they get there, Articuno awakens, and this is the most badass Articuno of all time. A drone arrives to inform them they can use 3 Pokemon each, and their performance will be recorded. First wave of Pokemon they send out get absolutely bodied. Gary's Tyranitar, Ash's Surfetch, Go's Darmanitan, and Tokiu's Indeedee all get one shot. And I am kind of upset that Indeedee went down quick. This would have been a good chance to show off a Galar Pokemon that hasn't really had any spotlight yet. And I think one of Tokiu's other Pokemon should have taken the fall. Gary's the one to immediately try and get everyone back on track after they're kind of shocked, sending Umbreon out, prompting Ash to send out Lucario, Go to send out Cinderace, and Tokiu to send out Gardevoir. Umbreon gets destroyed by a Sheer Cold, which was pretty funny to be honest, but not before using a Confuse Ray. Gary got Lucario and Cinderace a chance to strike. What I like about Gary here is that he feels a lot like a leader, so when Articuno awoke, he told the others to watch out. Here in this battle you'll see him make calls like Articuno's confused, the confusions wore off, and Tokiu takes a very support-oriented role, which Gary praises. Gardevoir uses Reflect to protect Cinderace. Gary sends out his Arcanine as Articuno approaches again, and Gardevoir reflects. However, Articuno shows the move Triple Axle, which breaks Reflect. It's so cool seeing Triple Axle. I really like the idea of the last one breaking Reflect as that move gets stronger the more it hits. So Gary has a plan for Lucario and Cinderace to grab Articuno, which Go doesn't think Gary should be giving orders to their Pokemon. Ash is the voice of reason however and gets Go to follow this plan. You can tell that Go isn't really working as a team member at all, and wouldn't have followed if Ash wasn't there. Cinderace is the only one able to grab Articuno, so Arcanine and Cinderace hit Articuno with Flamethrower and Blaze Kick, which Lucario follows up with a Steel Beam. Gardevoir keeps up its support by using Heal Pulse on Cinderace. I like that Go tries to come up with a plan to keep up the pressure with Ash. Gary tells him not to, and they both end up attacking anyway, so it puts Gary and Tokiu in a position where they have to do their best to support the team while putting themselves at risk. Gardevoir uses a Light Screen, Arcanine uses Flamethrower, but Gardevoir, Cinderace and Lucario all go down. With all their last Pokemon out, Tokiu reminds Go that they're a team, and reprimands him for not understanding that they are one at all. He tells us what we've known all along. Gary's been trying to work as a group. Gary mocks that as it's so basic and it shouldn't have needed to be mentioned, and tells Go to follow him. The next strategy involves restraining and an all-out attack, and Go seems to reluctantly follow through with it. Gary predicts a Sheer Cold is going to be used. Go tells him a Blizzard would defeat them, and for a Pokemon to hide behind his Boldore. Gary was right. and Articuno uses Sheer Cold. Arcanine manages to save Bailey from the attack, but Pikachu and Arcanine are defeated. And Ash and Gary are out for raid. I'm also not sure if Boulder was KO'd since Go mentions Bayleaf can't fight alone, but it defeats Bayleaf and leaves anyway. So this Articuno is the most powerful Articuno I've seen. What the hell? Like, it just took out 12 Pokemon, and considering one of them was Ash's Pikachu, that's insane. But it's also super cool to see. Definitely had a better showing than Zapdos and Moltres. It takes some time to reflect after. Go thinks he wouldn't have stood a chance without them. Tokiu thinks Go taking the offense helped because Tokiu could use healing and defense moves. And Gary thinks Go was being selfish, which hurt the team. The raid wasn't a complete waste, however, as Tsurugi calls and sees that they got valuable data. As such, they will receive 3 tokens to complete the mission. Gary and Tokiu are rewarded by receiving an extra token, Gary for his leadership and Tokiu for his teamwork skills. And when Go asks about if cooperation will be needed for finding Mew, Tsurugi doesn't answer him but tells him to think about it. Let's be real, of course it will. The expedition to find Mew will be on a dangerous terrain and within a very specific time period. This episode highlighted what Go is really missing and he's going to have to learn from his loss. Asahi butts into their call to imply that Tsurugi used to be the same way, but he still works his way up to become a chaser, so I think that'd be interesting to see how like the two boys are and how Tsurugi can inform Go's growth. And at the end of the day, Tokiu tells Go that we need more chances. Gary gives Go a speech about even though he cooperated for a raid, they don't have to pretend to be friends. Even when Ash says that they can help each other as friends, Gary very much supports Tsurugi's strict attitude and how it will lead him to Mew. When Go hears this, he realizes Tsurugi saved and almost failed him in Mount Coronet. It pushed him to complete his mission. When he provokes someone, it makes him realize something that they're missing. When Gary asks Go if he realizes what he's saying, he drops the kun part, coming across in a more friendly way. When Go replies, he mentions Gary's name to Gary for the first time. They show they have a respecting understanding of each other and their ways. And most importantly, what will lead them to Mew. So I love this episode. Most importantly, it did so much for Go and his mentality. He doesn't like the idea of being in a team regardless if he's done raid battles before. There's a huge reason why he initially fought against joining Project Mew. Here he learns what he's missing, alongside 2 other candidates who display exemplary skill in different aspects of teamwork. And while they could have punished Go by not awarding him any tokens, I feel like seeing the others get rewarded more is still a punishment that will teach Go a lesson. He also gets more of an understanding of the mindset needed for Project Mew, both from Gary's words and what he's seen of Tsurugi. The difference is that both Gary and Tsurugi can put on a strict mindset, but when it comes towards working a goal, they'll work together for the mission's sake. And it's just amazing seeing Gary being used for that growth. It's been a while since he popped up and they used him so effectively here. I think to some extent he can be blamed for loss since antagonizing someone you're going to work with won't lead to them listening to you, but a positive that came out of this was that Go and Gary ended up understanding each other more. Of course they'll still be competing with each other, but I think it's a good usage of one of Go's rivals. And speaking of rivals, it's a great usage of Tokiu to bring him back and have him competing in Project Mew, even though his justification is kind of odd. He really has a more empathetic side to show than Go does here, worrying about the other Project Mew candidates that didn't make it beyond just meeting them and leaving when they express that they can't continue. This side is shown when he battles Articuno, listening to Gary's leadership, trying to get Go to follow the rest of the team and being able to play that support role with Gardevoir. He was rightly rewarded for his ability to work as part of the team, which in turn showed Go what he was lacking. However, Tokiu wasn't making fun of teasing Go like Gary was. He saw Go's strengths and was able to play to them. So regardless of how I feel about Tokiu's reasons, I'm really glad to see him as part of Project Mew, and I'm certainly eager to see more of him as well as Gary. And just lastly, that Articuno was so beastly, man. It really reminded me of doing raid battles in Go with less numbers than you really need. Your Pokemon can easily dwindle, and this Articuno just put up such an amazing battle. I rewatched the Zapdos and Articuno raids in preparation for this episode, and there's a huge disparity in how they're shown. It really makes you wish that the other two were portrayed a bit stronger, particularly Zapdos, but I really did enjoy seeing Articuno pop off here. That's all I have to say about this episode. How did you feel about it? And thank you for watching.